I want to go over the executive summary real quick and just talk a little bit about the expectations on it. I would describe it as the shortest bit of narrative that should be in your business plan at 2 pages long. That's not 3 pages and not 1 page, but 2 pages, which probably means, I'll say, between 1.5 pages and 2 pages. And you note how I say the upper limit being at 2, right? You should be able to get her done, okay, in that frame. And the conventional wisdom is that somebody isn't going to read past those 2 pages, okay? And I can tell you from my experience in banking, when somebody would bring in a business plan to me, and business plans were actually kind of newish, at least up in our neck of the woods, and when I was still in banking. And when somebody bring in a business plan, what would I do? I'd open it up, I would read the executive summary. If and only if that was compelling, would I even go flip to the financials. Okay, I'd skip all the rest and I'd go look at the financials. And if and only if those were accurate and properly presented, would I even look at the rest of it? And I would tell you, out of the business plans that got submitted to me, probably 9 out of 10 never got past the financial portion. Okay, because I'd look at that and I'd say, oh no, something's wrong here. You know, this is goofy. And so that's why I'm pretty particular about making sure your stuff balances and your stuff is accurate and all that other good stuff, right? Because those are the things that a banker and investor is going to look at is exactly that, okay? And if if the cash thing at the end of your cash flow doesn't equal what the cash is at the start of your next year, I'd fold it up and that was it. I was done reviewing it, right, when I was in banking, because somebody didn't take the time to do it correctly. So, okay. So the executive summary, it's just a persuasive summary, right, of all the elements in the plan. Again, 1.5 pages, 2 pages. It's going to need to be right in that ballpark. So here's what it is, right? It's the company. After your intro, of course, right? The company. Maybe your mission statement, and I'm going to talk a little bit about presentation there because I could change a couple things on here, and I'll tell you what I mean in a bit. Management, right? The opportunity, the products, markets. So opportunity, products, and markets. Those are all in the marketing part. If you incorporated those into one paragraph, that's fine.
Right? Are you talking like your target market too?
Maybe.
Huge.
Yep. I'll get a little bit more specific here in a bit. I don't know why you guys are all typing this. It's right on the on D2L. You can open up and look at the PowerPoint if you want. So, but feel free. It's good practice. Okay. Sales and profit summary. So we got to talk a little bit about our, what we're looking at in terms of the financials. Okay. And then the funding requirement investment proposal. So here we go. The company, name, address, contact information, full legal name, and DBA. Doing business as, because sometimes your corporate entity or your business entity might actually be different than your business name. You'll see that often. When I worked at the bank, believe it or not, if you own stock in Independence Bank, you actually don't own stock in Independence Bank. You own stock in a company called Montana Security Inc. Okay, Montana Security Inc. is the parent company of Independence Bank, and so it's doing business as Independence Bank. It's a wholly owned subsidiary, right? Which would be maybe some of your guys' structures too. I don't think so. Okay.
Would that only be like if you were to open more businesses somewhere? Because like the hardware store is Northwest Hardware, but we're Haber Hardware, and then the building stores are Billings Hardware.
Maybe, but not necessarily. Okay. The question was, would that be only if you had other businesses and not necessarily. It can be a sole business. You might want to open up a corporation that's Bobby Incorporated, but you might want the business to be called, Bobby's Beers or something, right? Okay, and that's fine. You can do that, right? The corporation then you can open up other subsidiaries and stuff, other businesses under that same corporation with different names, and that's fine. Okay, most of yours are going to be the same, right? Okay, full legal name and DBA, and the brief brief business description. Now that's going to start in the body, okay? But I would also tell you that you're probably going to have a cover page, right? Okay, and not probably, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. You will have a cover page, okay? And your cover page ought to be attractive, and it ought to get my attention, right? It ought to be neat and pretty. It doesn't necessarily have to be creative. For those of you that are creative, that can be fine. Okay, remember, depending on your type of business, right, you want to be a little bit careful about the creativity. You know, would it be proper to have pictures of beer or something on a beer business? Absolutely. Would it be proper to have fitness equipment, horse, you know, whatever your business is? Absolutely. Those types of things would be totally proper, right? Okay, and you can make you know, either real pictures or cartoon types of pictures, characterizations. Is that what those would be? Something like that. Okay, it can be those things. Okay. The prior slide I said you might have the mission statement. Some folks are really proud of their mission statement. They write a good one. Okay, there would be nothing wrong with putting that, I don't think, on your cover page. I think that would be wonderful. If you think that your mission statement has a powerful message, if you're proud of the way it sounds and how you've written it, nothing wrong with putting that right on the cover page. And then you wouldn't necessarily have it in the executive summary. Okay, to be on the cover page and not necessarily in the executive summary. Okay. Okay. Well-written mission statement. It makes a great impression. So we talk about the business description, obviously. So we're going to have a paragraph that's just dedicated to a really condensed version of your business description, just kind of the highlights, right? You can have the name and the DBA, brief description. You might have your mission statement in here, and that's fine. I don't necessarily have these in the best of order. I would make my executive summary. It has to be in the same order of the sections of your business plan. Okay, has to be. Okay. Other than, you know, the mission statement is part of your marketing. If you put the mission statement at the top of your executive summary, if you put it on the cover page, I'm totally cool with that. Okay. But otherwise, make sure that you keep it in order. You've already given your organizational structure. So this area is a short discussion of management, right? Maybe include the qualifications of the managers, right? You want to talk about maybe your main qualifications. Obviously, you're putting that in a sentence or two, so it's got to be pretty concise. You really want to hit on the big qualities, the important qualities. Then you're going to talk about your marketing, of course. Strategy's huge. Okay, be completely remiss if you don't put your strategy in the executive summary. Your marketing segments, that's what Bobby was asking about, right? You're going to put your target markets in there? Sure, I think so. The tactics that you might use. Okay, important tactics, not maybe some of the, you know, we're going to keep the bathrooms clean. Yeah, that should be in your marketing plan. That's great, might be, right? But that's probably not the type of specifics that you're going to put in the executive summary. Okay. And maybe just a brief comment about your competitors then too, right? And that might depend on your business plan and who your competitors are and whatnot. And financial summary, certainly got to tell me about the sales, about the profits, growth potential. I like the break-even point. I've always liked that, and I hardly ever had business plans presented to me at the bank that had a break-even point, and I usually had to calculate it myself. That made me do way more work than I wanted to do. The reason I like the break-even point is just about everybody came in, and I thought that sure that their projections were way high. They just always seemed unrealistic. But if I could look at the break-even point and say, yeah, their projections are unrealistic, but their break-even point's realistic, then I might continue on and actually take a look at some of the stuff that they had in the plan. You know, I mean, people would come in and say, hey, I'm going to have $1.5 million of sales, and I'd say, really? You know, you're going to sell. But if their break-even point was $400,000 in sales, okay, I might take a look at it then, right? Needed funds. So now we're getting to the end here, okay? So towards your last paragraph, and perhaps in the last paragraph of your executive summary, you got to say, this is what I need. So this is either the loan that you're requesting, right? Because you've all got loans in there, so it's either and if you have it, if you're looking for an outside investor. Okay? If you're looking for an outside investor. I don't think any of you guys had really outside investors in your plans, but if you were looking for an outside investor, then it would be a request from them or from a lender, or both maybe. Then you got to close the deal. Okay, so ultimately, at the end of your executive summary, you have to ask for the money. You have to ask for the loan. You know, give me the dough. But I would put it a little bit more eloquently than that, please. Besides that, dole is too easily rhymed with no. That's it. Okay? 2 pages. Now, for me, writing those 2 pages would be way more difficult than writing the business description. I could sit down in an evening with a couple beers and I could write a business description. It would just flow, okay? But to sit and write, and I'm not trying to make you guys nervous about this, but to write that executive summary, because you really want it to be a powerful summary of what your business is, because that's what the people are going to read. That's what the investor or the lender is going to read, is that executive summary. That's what has to be compelling, okay? They won't read the rest of it unless you get their attention, unless you've done a good job in that executive summary. So, again, not to scare you off, but to tell you about the importance of it, and write it, rewrite it, have people review it, kind of like your resume, which a lot of you need work on your resumes too. But kind of like that, you should have 10 people maybe review it and give you some suggestions. Okay, would it hurt to take it over to Terry Blosser, and have him take a look at it? Nah, heck no. Right? Okay, there's Fred Smiley has told me he's always willing to look at work if you guys want somebody to kind of review your work for the English, grammar, all those other things, and presenting stuff properly. Heskey would do it as well, I'm sure. So, okay, any questions? Questions about the executive summary? Okay, yeah, business descriptions I'd like to have in by, let's say, this weekend. Again, I've started, I think a couple of you got feedback on the management and organization. I've started on those, and I'm trying to get everybody's feedback done and put in there. So I'll try to do that as soon as possible, and then we got to dive into the business descriptions. So, okay.